Hello, hello, hello. There seems to be consensus on who the starting five will be for the Magic this upcoming season. But who's going to be the sixth man? Let's go through all the bench players and figure out who it'll be. That's right, we're talking all things Magic Bench. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. Just want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. While you're here, click subscribe so you can join the Orlando Magic Nation as well as not miss out on any content that I produce. Also, while you're here, smash that like button because it really helps the channel grow by getting more eyeballs on it. Lastly, this doesn't have to be a one-way street, so down at the bottom there in the comment section, just let me know who you think the sixth man of the year will be this upcoming season. So let's jump right into it. Last year, the sixth man of the year was Mo Wagner. I know in the end he only played 28 full games, but pre-injury and post-injury, the bench kind of fell apart ultimately when it came especially to scoring. Pre-injury, the team was averaging 39.6 points per game off the bench, which if we would have sustained that for the rest of the year, would have been a top 10, top 9 scoring bench in the league. Once he went down with injury, we went all the way down to 35.4 points per game, and that only tied us with Miami, I believe, for the 16th best scoring from the bench. So you can see already there that's 4 points right off the bat when Mo went out. So he was kind of the one that was keeping us afloat, especially once we had to shift the rotation around once Paulo went out. It was really Mo that was the one that was kind of keeping us afloat in a lot of ways by coming in with all the energy that he normally brings, and he was being more efficient than he had ever been. He didn't have Joe Ingles anymore to give him a lot of the pick and rolls, but he was going out shooting threes, so he was a crucial part. So even though it was only 28 games, I for me he was still the MVP or the sixth man candidate for the Magic in 24-25. So if we look forward to the season, these are the candidates basically for the rest of for the same thing for next year. If we start off, I would say Anthony Black. He's getting a lot of pub right now. Obviously, he was one of the candidates or one of the people that Zach Lowe mentioned as an intriguing player for this upcoming season. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more eyeballs on the Magic this year. We're a title contender, or at least definitely a contender to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, if not get to the finals. So we already know the starting five. At least again, if Jalen's going to start at the point, then we basically know who the starting five will be. So we need someone really to come in off the bench and to continue the scoring, continue the defense that we like to continue to have. So if we look at Anthony Black's numbers last year, 9.5 points per game off the bench, about 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So the turnovers are where he struggles right now, still being the backup point. Now his role is going to change this year. We'll talk about the incoming Tyus Jones a little later on, but maybe that just means that now AB is going to be more on the shooting guard side. So that will likely cut down on the turnovers, so it'll make him look way more efficient. And really, the big thing for him is by the second half of the year, he was starting to hit his threes. He started the season off real poorly, as we can all remember, from three, but about midway through, I think it's game 40, game 41 is when he really started to hit his groove. So from January 10th through the end of the season, he shot 38%. I think it was 37.8%, 38% from three. If he can continue that moving forward, as well as continuing his strong defense and his playmaking ability while being more of a combo guard as opposed to just being the on ball guard, that's going to help to, again, we're going to have eyeballs on us. So the more positive plays in the end you're able to have, then that's just going to snowball. And again, a lot of these awards are by the writers basically, so they're the ones that are the creating the narrative, they're the ones creating all the buzz, they're the ones doing a lot of that stuff. So all he needs to do is continue to progress and be more aggressive. Because if he adds the shooting that he had last year, that would be wonderful. But if that doesn't happen, if he doesn't stay at 38%, if he gets down to 35%, which is league average, even if it creeps a little lower, that wouldn't be the end of the world because he brings so much to the table. It has to be on the offensive end. It has to be the aggression because if he's not shooting threes, because he only shot, I think, about 31% of his shots last year were from three. So he drove a lot or he shot a lot from the mid range. So uh, we need to well, hopefully we get someone who's going to continue to drive. And we saw that aggressiveness by the end of the season. He was again, I don't know if because the shots were starting to fall that he got more aggressive, but whatever it was that added to the aggression, it definitely was something that you could see by the end of the year. And as long as he can get downhill and as long as he can continue to shoot threes, then he's going to go from 9.5 points per game if he's able to get to 14 points a game, but have impact defensively and offensively, then he's going to definitely garner a bunch of votes for the award. The last thing I would say about that is about AB is to making sure that he gets to the corner. Hopefully, the geometry of the team is going to change now that we have Tyus and Desmond. So once Tyus comes in, if he's going to be the one on the ball, if AB ends up on one of the corners, that's going to be is going to be his sweet spot. That's where he shot. What was it? He shot about 39%. Yeah, he shot 39% of his threes from the corner, and he shot 39% when from there. So almost 40%. It was 39.5% was his where his was his percentage made from the corner. So right there, 39% of his threes. If he can bump that up to Jonathan Isaac 60% basically from the corner, boom. If he's shooting 37%, 38% from the corner on 60% of his shots, the basically it's going to be at that point he's talking about 15, 16 points a game from the bench. So he's obviously going to spot start just because we have Jalen. Hopefully, we're going to try to make sure that Jalen and Desmond are as healthy as possible throughout the year. So who knows how they're going to manage the roster. But AB coming off the bench, scoring 14-ish points a game, again, grabbing a few more rebounds and a few more assists. That right there is going to be a six-man of the year candidate. So I'd say AB is probably the strong would probably be the front runner right off the bat. Then we have people like Tristan. Tristan, I think he had a good foundation last year. He was letting the game come to him. I'd say as a rookie, obviously it's quite a transition. Especially he spent 4 years in college, so I would say he was pretty comfortable there after being there for so long. First year in the league, I feel like he has much more that he can provide to the team. His numbers are not horrible, but obviously they're not that they don't jump out at you with the 5.1 points, 2.2 rebounds, 1.1 assist, shooting 34% or 43% from the field. It just nothing popped really when you look at a lot of his stats. It felt like he was there. He obviously was a spot starter, or he was thrust into the starting role once Paolo went out, and then later on when Franz went out. So he definitely had a lot more impact when he was a starter. When he came off the bench, it didn't feel like he found his role, found his niche. So that I think that was the biggest thing that you can see through the television screen. You could just see him kind of just blending in and not being as forceful with the ball. So when I say forceful, I'm not saying obviously to go and start slamming into people with the ball or anything like that. But when you get the ball, you're doing something with it. Obviously, just passing it, keeping the play going, obviously is important, but he can increase his usage. He can increase a lot. For me, he's a poor man's Franz, maybe a very very poor man's Franz. But for me, he can do a little bit of everything. He can shoot. Well, he has shown in college he can shoot. That's hopefully he's able to get back to his college percentages with from 3 point range. But other than that, again, he can score. He can play defense. I don't think the defense is where they wanted, which is why I assumed he didn't get as much playing time later in the year once everyone was back being healthy. but still, I think that's something that will get better. Obviously, just him going into his second year. There's a lot of times where people have their sophomore slump, so I don't think we really need 20 points a game from him or anything crazy like that. We just need more from him. But I would say he's not the strongest candidate. But I think if you look at the foundation, what he has, if he's able to make a leap, then again, if he goes from 5 points a game to 11 points a game, 12 points a game, again, the narrative, oh, look where he came from, 5 points a game to 12 points a game. Now all of a sudden, he's somebody that he played in Eurobasket. Maybe in Eurobasket, he does very well for Germany. And that, again, that starts the narrative. And oh, so now there's Franz and Tristan and Paolo and Desmond. So now there's all these different names, and now he's lumped in with the starting five to just part of the conversation. So there's that. Again, we're talking about the geometry. If he's also able to get to the corners, because he shot 39% of his threes also from the corner, and he shot 37.2% from the corners. So 3 pointers, we obviously didn't do well in general last year when it comes to the 3 pointers, but from the corners, for some reason, the Magic didn't shoot that many from the corners, but from the corners, we weren't so bad. At least not a lot of people. There were some people that were real bad, but at least a lot of the guys like AB, Tristan, they were not that. They actually shot very well from the corner. So if we can get them more of those shots, that just is organically the way the offense runs. As you see, we have one guy up front, and then there's one guy in each corner. As long as those guys are there, and now that we have Tyus, now that we have one of the starters playing with the bench role, then they'll be able to spray it out, and hopefully they're able to continue to shoot. So Tristan is a mid-level candidate, not that big, not nearly as high as AB. The next person, Tyus. So Tyus Jones, he's the big free agent signing that we had. Well, he actually is a free agent, so I don't know why I did that, but he was a free agent. He came in for a 1 year deal, $7 million. He's experienced. He's done it before off the bench. That's he spent more time, I would say, at this point still on the bench than he has been as a starter. So this is kind of old hat for him. The last time he played primarily off the bench was when he was with Memphis. That year, he scored about 10 points a game from the bench. Last year, if you look at the numbers, when he went back to the bench, because he started off last season with the Phoenix Suns starting. Then by the end of the year, around mid-February or so, then he mostly was on the bench. So in his 23 games off the bench, 8 points per game, two-ish rebounds per game, as well as 3.5 assists and only zero point 0.6 turnovers. So that's going to be the thing you hear about all the time with him is his assist to turnover ratio. Like, I've called him before in past videos. I've called him a game manager. That's great. We need a game manager. We need that. We don't need anybody going out and always doing the home run play, the no look pass, the behind the back pass. We don't need any of that. We need the guy to make a nice, normal pass. So for him, it's about a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. That's already going to garner some. That's already going to garner some attention. So that's again, it's all about attention and what we're going to be as a team. So if we're the number one seed in the East and AB doesn't have as great of a year, or the same thing for Tristan. But Tyus is out here and he's scoring 10 to 12 points a game off the bench with 3 to 4 assists, and again that 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Then all of a sudden he's going to be back in the conversation because when he was coming off the bench in Memphis, he was garnering Six Man of the Year votes. So he's definitely up there with AB as the candidate that would most likely be the Six Man of the Year in general for the NBA, but for the Magic in general, I think that's that. Last thing I'll talk about Tyus is also the corner threes. So in general, he shot 41% from three. So again, that's something that we need desperately. So if he can continue that, even if it's only 40% instead of 41%, we'll take that from the corner because he's normally on ball. So as an on ball guy, you're not really over going to be in the corner as much. But since there are so many ball handlers, and let's say AB takes the ball up, then Tyus could be the one over in the corner, in either one of the corners. From the corner, he shot 50%. Shot 50% from 3 point from the corner 3 point range. So we need him in the corner then at this point. So he can have a less assists, let's say, but as long as he can be over there in the corner, AB can continue to handle the ball, have Tyus in the corner, shoot those threes. That's what we need. Tyus can shoot from anywhere, so it's not really he doesn't have to be stuck in the corner like some of the other guys. But again, 50%, 50% from three, that's you got to take that all day. So if he's on fire all season long, then again he might be one of our candidates. The next person I'd like to focus on is Goga. So I've already created the player profile on Goga, so check that one out. So I went really deep into all of his stats, what he brings to the table, and everything. So he's primarily a defender, right? He's going to be a shot blocker. That's what he does. A rebounder, that's those are I would say the again that's how he gets his playing time. With Moe not coming back theoretically until Christmas, then Goga's likely going to be our center off the bench. So we need to make sure that he's more involved. Whatever happened at the end of last season, hopefully that's in the past, and the cobwebs off of the concussion. Hopefully that's all cleared so that he has a good Euro basket, and then that just translates into the season. Because Goga, I feel, is able to really level up in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's the shooting that has to come up, but we're not talking about that. Just if he's able to control the boards, he's able to shot block while coming off the bench, and he increases his off the bench numbers. Because if you look at his off the bench numbers, they were 4.3 points, 4 rebounds, 1.4 assists. Not the 4 rebounds is a good thing, obviously, but him coming off the bench is not, for me, it's not really the getting the best out of him. I don't know what it is. Some guys just come off the bench and they're just rocket launchers, and that's what they flame throwing, shooting, shooting, shooting. Goga, it feels like, needs to have a bit more responsibility in that way. So that's hopefully something that they're able to garner and they're able to give him when he is on the kind of like the focal point or one of the focal points off the bench. But as I've already talked about with these guys, if there is a lot of firepower, then Goga is likely going to be the roll guy, and he's going to be the pick and roll guy as well. And hopefully he gets a lot more lobs. He's able to get a lot more baskets in close. Let's hope that all of that goes, and he's able to scale up his production a bit more, because it's hard to win the sixth man of the year if you're not scoring points. Again, this is narrative driven. So unless he's grabbing 7, 8, 9 rebounds off the bench and doing something crazy like that, blocking 4 shots, 4 shots a game off the bench, unless you're doing something crazy like that, it's unlikely he's going to get the attention necessarily for the sixth man of the year award. But again, if he's able to scale up his points per game to about 10ish points, then right there, right off the bat, he's going to start becoming a bigger name in this realm. There's a couple more people. Obviously, we talk about Ji next. So Ji, if you actually look back 2 seasons ago, the 2023 to 2024 season, Ji actually got votes for the sixth man of the year because he was so lethal defensively. So this also goes back to the argument of maybe Goga, if he shows such being so lethal on defense, then maybe you can garner some votes and garner some attention. AI Ji, if we're able to get him back to where he once was. He's slimming down again for whatever reason. Last offseason, they decided to bulk him up so he can play backup center. And then he never played backup center. That's weird. Either way, now he's slimming back down. So if we're able to get any of that defensive pressure that he had 2 seasons ago back, that right there is going to be something that is going to be enticing. And again, it's a good story. He's been oft injured many years, and now he's kind of healthy, especially if he has another healthy season this year as he had last season. He had about 70 games played, 71 games played last year, so that's incredible. If he can have that again this season, that's going to be wonderful for the Magic. His big thing for Ji obviously is the defense, but it's the corner threes. He shot 60% of his shots basically in the corner from three. Is that what it was? Ji, yeah. So of his shots, of his 3 pointers, he shot 64% of them from the corner, and he only made 30%. So that right there, if he can get back to even league average, 35%. 35% from the corner, plus lethal defense, plus being able to be a shutdown guy and blocking shots all over the place and being able to cover 1 through 5 and doing all of that, there's going to be that narrative again, like I talked about. Then all of a sudden, now we're talking, now we're talking, now we're talking. So for JI, let's hope that for JI, we're able to get him healthy or continue to be healthy because he was pretty healthy last year. Get him pretty healthy, be able to scale up his minutes a bit because he didn't have that many minutes, especially at different points of last year. Get his get his minutes back up so he can even qualify for any of these different awards or whatever, just to continue to do that and then hit them threes again, even at a higher clip than 30%. 30% is real bad. So let's get that back up to 35, 34%. If we're able to get to 40, great. Nobody's complaining, but that'll actually help if it's the higher that number goes, the more he's going to score, the more then the defense adds to the scoring or the scoring adds to the defense. Either way, then he's a more complete candidate and then he's able to move forward. And the last person here, I didn't want to totally gloss over Jett. I don't mind Jett. I realize I listened back to some of my videos and it sounds like I'm like, oh yeah, and Jett. I don't feel he's had an opportunity here to grow but with the Magic so far. So I partially, and especially at this point, the Magic are trying to win at this point, trying to win moving forward. So if he is not going to be able to have a lot of playing time to be able to get better, to be able to improve, then it would behoove us to trade him. But if we were to keep him and those three start to hit, that's basically the big thing for him, since that's why he made it to the league primarily because of his shooting. If now he shoots 43%, 42%, if he's able to be like a Dean Wade from Cleveland or the other guy from Cleveland that his name is escaping me, but Merrill. If we were to be more of a like a Merrill type from Cleveland and just come in and be a flamethrower and just start launching and making, that right there is going to be more enticing. And people will be like, oh, okay, like there's that. That will also go a long way in getting him minutes because that's what he needs. He needs the minutes to continue to improve. I think he could be an NBA player. To be a six-man candidate is a long shot just from where he's starting, but crazier things have happened. Ty Jerome kind of was an afterthought, and he was a candidate last year. So let's hope that Jett is able to come in, start shooting threes, hitting threes, and then he's able to have more minutes. Then it will make it a bit more complicated rotation wise. But hey, that's a better. I'd rather have that problem than everybody missing their shots and us trying to piecemeal some offense together. So that's what I'd rather have. Then I'm not talking much about Noah. I'm not going to talk about Noah and Jace here just because we don't really know how their game is going to translate to the NBA. They did pretty well in the summer league. That's something that we're all super excited about. But the summer league isn't the NBA, right? And college isn't the NBA. So as I talked about before Tristan shot 39% from three in college, and he shot 33%, I think, overall, if I look properly. Well, it says 38%, but I saw a bunch of stuff that said 33%. So, anywho, so Tristan still, his shooting isn't nearly where it was in college. So, if you look at Jace is a scorer. He's a bit undersized. Everybody talked about that. I get that, but he's going to be a scorer. He's going to be something in the NBA, but we don't know what. And to be a six man of the year candidate as a rookie, either one of them, it's very unlikely. So that's why I'm not going too deep into their stuff. Especially, we also don't have information or don't have NBA numbers from last year to kind of build upon. So I'm not talking about those two guys. I'm also not talking about Orlando or Jamal from our two-way guys because they're not going to get the minutes. It's just likely not going to happen. So we're not moving that. But the dark horse is that Mo Wagner's music I hear. If he's a wrestler coming in, I think Mo might be the one to be able to come back and pretend or seem as if he had never left. So at this point in a past video, I mentioned that the doctors have said that his knee's fine at this point. So now it's just for him to cross a lot of the barriers mentally, like putting all the weight on it and fight and pushing off it and doing all the things. But as we see from the numbers last year, 12.8 points, about 5 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. He's shooting better from three, 37% from three. Mo Wagner might just come back earlier than what is expected, because right now I think people are expecting him to come back Christmas-ish or New Year's-ish. Maybe he comes back beginning of December or Thanksgiving time, because he got injured on the 21st of December last year. Maybe he comes back a little bit sooner, adds a few more games played, is able to qualify that way. And then if he comes in and he continues to shooting the 37% three while he kind of gets himself lathered up again to bump in and get to the rim, then for me, Mo was already a six man of the year candidate for the NBA last year, not just for the Magic. Why not again this year? Obviously, the injury or rehabbing or coming back from injury is why not. But if he comes back and shows that he didn't miss a step at all, then if he's able to play the 65 games and qualify minutes wise, because I don't know how they're going to bring him back and if they're going to not have him play many minutes, but if he's able to qualify and he hasn't lost a step and he's able to kind of slip back in with more spacing that Tyus Jones is going to have, and he doesn't have to handle the ball, and he doesn't have to with so many other responsibilities taken from him. All he's got to do is pick and roll again. Maybe now he's got a guy that will be able to play pick and roll with him again, especially with the gravity that Tyus has because he's such a good shooter. Maybe now he'll go back to he won't have the mojo pick and roll that he had a couple seasons ago, but Tyus Jones might be able to unlock that part of him again, so he can pick and roll, go towards the basket, and get more efficient shots, as well as continuing his 37% 3-point percentage. So maybe. So you're saying there's a chance that Mo might be able to come back and be the sixth man of the year candidate for the Magic, but who knows? So if I had to rank them, I'd say the most likely is AB and then Tyus, and then if we're not including Mo, then Tristan. I would say those would be my top three candidates, with Mo being a dark horse coming out of nowhere to take back his spot. But what do you guys think? So put it down in the comments who you think will be the sixth man of the year for the Magic and would be a candidate to be the sixth man of the year for the NBA as a whole. So just put that right down there. Again, click subscribe so that you don't miss on any content. I'm trying to edit a lot of these player profiles, and it's taken me a little bit of time as I'm learning my way through it. But I'm going to be producing more and more content over the summer. It won't just be as sporadic as it has been. So thank you for your patience and waiting for while I learn what I'm doing, basically at this point. So click subscribe. Don't miss out on anything. So what are the three things you got to do? You got to click subscribe. You got to hit the like button so that the channel grows, and leave a comment. Tell me who you think the sixth man is going to be for the Orlando Magic this year. That's all you got to do. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you're having a great day.